Check out your dad with the swag on the floor. Mama gonna brag when I walk in the door. Y'all ain't never seen a gorilla in the mist. Walk the line so fine with a blindfold. Keep in mind though, hot dad riding in a rhino. Got the roll under wrap with the dad vibes. Now everybody bounce with the franchise. Come on! My name's Harley Neville.
Who's the franchise?
Welcome along to the Guy and Harley podcast. The franchise in this particular case is a franchise that you know and in fact have actively supported in the past. I am of course referring to the institution of rock rap, the classics, the Godfathers, Limp Bizkit.
Is that their new album?
It's
the new album.
It's from their new album, and it's good. It's actually quite a good album. The new Limp Bizkit album is lit. It's totally on fleek. It's on fleek. It's rad. It's totally rad.
So yeah, we talked a little bit about Limp Bizkit the other day. I think it's quite interesting that, you know, we don't often see the evolution of a musician from young, badass, like, I'm a rebel musician to I'm a dad. I am going to openly acknowledge my dadness and try and play it off as cool in my songs now because I'm literally an old dad. To me, I do appreciate that. I respect that because, you know, you can't be that young rebel, and at some point you go from rebel, you know, kind of outcast singer-songwriter, band to rich, you know, caviar eating,
nothing left to say,
champagne swilling, live in a mansion, completely shut off from the rest of society type of person. And so you can't keep that narrative forever. The success really elevates you away from your own narrative a lot of the time. You know, unless you are Biggie or Park, and we all know how that ended. So, you know, you kind of have to do this, but it's just funny that he's like, well, what can I rap about now? What can I talk about now? Well, I'm a dad now, and people are calling me a dad on stage and shit. Dads are cool. Hey, I'm the hot dad. That your significant other wants. The hot dad. That's me. Yeah.
Well, look, the new album, I got to say, is pretty good. It's better than starfish in the hot dog flavored water, chocolate starfish in the hot dog flavored water. It's better than that, and also it's like it's very true to Limp Bizkit. I feel like they've really found their voice again, because it's still got some quite heavy songs on it that are like from before Limp Bizkit were really big. They started off as a metal band.
That's right.
Then so they've still got some quite heavy songs on that album, but they've also got, you know, sort of the slower, more croonery type songs as well. And then there's then you've got your bangers like your Dad Vibes one. You know, and on top of that,
see how you could identify with those lyrics.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah.
I see how, because that's the thing. Is like we can't be, you know, walking around going, "Fuck you! I won't do what you tell me." And like
as we line up for our vaccines,
you know, form an orderly queue. I will do what you tell me.
Yeah.
So I really feel like, you know, the evolution of us really is kind of in sync with these dad.
Yeah,
and
we have to take the Limp Bizkit road.
Yeah, well, you also can't really be rapping about what a ladies' man, a womanizing ladies' man you are when you openly acknowledged in the last podcast that you'd had sex twice in 2020. You know, so you also can't say that you're this Romeo style guy, Casanova anymore, and want to embrace the dadness.
Look, to be fair, Guy, as I did mention on the show, you're taking that a little out of context. I did do that for the benefit of New Zealand.
Try and save New Zealand.
Because I was isolating. I was self-isolating. I was self-celebrating. I was self-celebrating because I was celibate. So I was self-celebrating for New Zealand.
You were celebrating. You were celebrating furiously in your room.
I was celebrating furiously in my room. So welcome along to the show, everybody. Here we are, level 3.2. So we've now gone down, just to open up our favorite segment, Jab Chat. We have gone to level 3.2 from level 3.3. It means that retail stores are now open, which is, good news for the economy. It's good news for a lot of businesses. It's just good news all round. Unless, of course, you're an anti-consumerist, left-wing liberal warrior like me, in which case the consumerism is maybe a little concerning. But it is still, obviously, it's a good thing. Although the bad thing is going to be the increase in cases, obviously, because if everyone's walking into shops, touching the same shit, you pick up, you've got COVID, you walk into the shop, you pick up a shoe, you put it on your COVID foot, and then you decide you don't like it, you rub your nose, and then you put it back, and then I walk in, and I try on the same shoe, take it home, take it into my bedroom. So that's not on,
Yeah, look, it does present some risks for us, but it has been quite good to see that as they've eased the restrictions, the number of COVID cases hasn't leapt out of control yet. It has moderately increased in a manageable fashion, which is both what the government want and what we as people are hoping to live with COVID want. A moderate increase as levels go down, so a tempered approach. So retail stores are now open. Have you been to any retail stores since the opening?
I have actually. I went along and I decided that so basically what happened here was the other day I had a poetry performance. We can talk about that, in a second, but I performed a poem called Dope New Shoes. And this poem is about consumerism and, needing shoes and buying disposable crappy stuff. And I didn't have any dope new shoes, so I had to borrow a dope new shoe off of you. Which was great because I used it as a prop in the poem, and so it was great because instead of holding up my dainty little miniature child's shoe, I got to hold up this big beefy Reebok or Nike or Adidas or whatever it was, this big big shoe that made it look like I had big giant feet and by extension probably a big giant penis. So that was really good for me. But the next day after that, or a couple of days after that, speaking of dope new shoes,
it got you in a shoe buying mood.
It did, and I went to
your poem railing against consumerism and the need for unnecessary purchases got you in the mood to make an unnecessary purchase of some dope new shoes. Literally, the thing that you were shouting down in your poetry spurred you not to follow in your own the advice that you had created for yourself, but to in fact do the opposite of your advice and get some dope new shoes.
Well, that's partially true. The thing is, though, that my other shoes were extremely old and quite fucked. And they have, they're like 6 years old or something. They are still, functional. I'm not throwing them out, but I needed some new shoes for training, because I'm doing my ballet classes again. I'm doing my yoga again. I'm, trying to get back on the gym wagon. And so I had to, buy some new training shoes. And I'd been thinking about this for a while. So the other day I went along, I bought some dope new shoes, and then I potentially caught COVID from them, I don't know. And then I wore those brand new shoes into the backyard of our house, where I stood in one of your girlfriend's dog's shits and in my new shoe. And then I didn't notice, and then I walked that shit through my house on my carpet. So there's Nike, there's imprints in shit of the Nike tick all around my house now.
Give it the shitty Nike tick.
The shitty Nike tick. So yes, I have been doing some consuming in the new level 3.2.
I can't help but feel that was a message from God. After you've done this poem, you basked in the adulation, and everyone was like, "Bro, that's right. That's right. I don't need all this shit. I'm gonna really get into minimalism right now. Thank you, Harley." You're like, "You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yes, I know. I'm very clever. I wrote that. I thought it up all myself, and I obviously practice all these things. And I'll see you later." I'm just going down to the shoe store. I need some new shoes, and then God, was like, "Oh, I see. You're not practicing what you're preaching, eh? Well, here's this shit. Let me produce this miracle shit for you to stand in and give you a slice of that. Remind you of what you should be doing."
Well, that would be fair, except for two things. One, like I said, my other shoes are literally like 6 years old or so. They've lasted me a really long time. I've got a lot of, value out of them. So I don't feel too bad about updating them every now and then, buying new ones. And two, my poem, Dope New Shoes, it's on YouTube, and I'll share it on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Guy and Harley. Now, my poem, called Dope New Shoes, is all about how I'm a hypocrite and a piece of shit who says he's an animal lover, but then pays for animals to be tortured and murdered to get put on his plate. And, and says that consumerism is bad, and then goes and buys shoes made in China by Asian slaves. So really, I'm only doing exactly what my poem says about me. I'm only doing. I'm very honest about it all. If you go and check out the poem,
you're actually living exactly as you have described.
Exactly. So God is just punishing me for being a piece of shit. It's not about the hypocrisy, because there's no hypocrisy.
It's not hypocritical, although in some way it is, because the point of the poem is to reduce that, right?
Of course, it is to raise awareness. It's to raise awareness of the fact that there is everybody out there saying one thing and doing another thing.
And we should not do that.
And we should not do that thing, exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. But
not that we should continue on to do that.
Yeah, it's funny because I've got my poems. They're all anti-consumerism and so on, and then I've got my T-shirts. I'm wearing one right now. The Don't Deny Gravity T-shirt, which people can buy. I'll post a link as well in the description or on the Facebook page, facebook.com/Guy and Harley. It's one of my poetry T-shirts. Now, these T-shirts are not made by slaves. They are ethically manufactured in the good old United States of America. So, and the website that sells them is a website that really promotes rationalism and skepticism and scientific thought and all that type of thing. So yeah. That's if you're interested in my T-shirt.
Speaking of scientific thought, so we are approaching double vax status here in Auckland. We are approaching 90% double vaxxed. I believe we're at 83% at the moment, and it will actually be slightly more now because there was a big vaccination drive over the weekend. So shout out to all the people that either helped facilitate that or that decided to get out and get another vaccination. And apparently we needed another, this was before that vaccination drive, we needed another 6,000 vaccinations to reach that 90% threshold, which is bloody impressive. So, although we like to make light of the dipshits of the world here on the podcast who are anti these vaccinations, it's great to see that most people are just erring on the side of fucking common sense.
Yeah.
So that's really good to see. And also, we should point out that right-wing Richard said it would never happen, said that it was not possible. He said that we were going to give up. And that would never get it done by Christmas.
At 83%, he said we'd give up.
It would give up, and it was never going to get done by Christmas. Now, Richard's made some bold predictions on the show, collectively now. The first one was correct. in terms of coming out or going down a level of lockdown. The rest have been miles off base. They've been complete. Like he's now like 1 for 4 of these bold predictions.
It's almost as if there's an error in the thought process that goes in behind them. These predictions.
It's good. Well, when you're 1 for 4, you know, that's you must now. You have to start reevaluating. Right?
You do. If you're a rational being, you'll look at the results, you'll take in the new information, and you'll figure out, you know, where you've erred.
So that's really good. So I think it looks, you know, sort of within a week, potentially 2, we will be at that magical 90%, and we're into the traffic light system. What does that mean? Oh, Jesus, we don't know. Slightly less regulations.
Yeah. No, well, what it means, look, it makes perfect sense. Okay, so firstly, this whole getting vaccinated thing, good on you to the silent majority in action, the silent majority of New Zealanders who have pulled your fucking head in, towed the line, and, you know, got it done. Good for you. And I knew that you guys were all out there just dealing with the lockdowns, getting the vaccinations, and getting on with it. So, you know, that must be very disheartening for the vocal minority of morons that are anti-vax.
Yeah, well, go on.
No, well, what did you just say?
Well, you know, which leads us to the parliamentary protests. You know, we did not talk about those last week because they had not happened yet. I believe, which was a group of about between 1,000 and 3,000 people, all sat outside Wellington Parliament and you know, protested vehemently the vaccination mandates, but somewhere along the line also held up QAnon flags and
Trump flags,
you know, and it almost seemed like a disparate group of individuals, all with slightly different agendas, rallying around this one single thing to have a bitch, but not really. I don't know, like, yes, that's an impressive amount of people to come out to do this protest, but, you know, to have...
It's not that impressive. 1,000.
To have, well, I think it was more than 1,000. Like, I don't want to be one of these news media people to say that it wasn't a sizable chunk, because it certainly appeared to be. But it's also like, okay, if you are pro-choice and you turn to your right and you see a Trump supporter, and you turn to your left and you see someone with a QAnon flag, I would really be reconsidering my pro-choices right now, you know, and I would really be going, okay, one, I feel like this message is getting muddled up. And also, if I am walking side by side with these fucking crackpots who have no business being anywhere, then maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, maybe. No, it's the scientists that are wrong.
Look, I'm neck and neck with these batshit insane people. But I guess there's nothing to see here. This is all, you know, these are all just pro-choices, you know.
This is the bit that doesn't make too much sense to me, right? Which is, and this is why I like the traffic light system. I think it's perfect. It keeps everybody happy because basically, you know, what happened was we had to have these restrictions in order to reduce the movement of the virus. To stop the virus spreading around, we had our lockdowns and we successfully eliminated it for quite a long time. And we succeeded. But there was always this minority of assholes, you know, like ignorant assholes who didn't really understand, who felt no loyalty to the country, who felt no loyalty to their neighbor, who just feel like, yeah, well, you're not going to make me do stuff that I don't want to do, you know, these childish imbeciles, these anti-vax morons, and so of course these guys were the ones that went out and kept moving around, and of course the virus gets spread around, and then so instead of having the absolute freedom that they could have had if they just sat on their fucking ass for 6 weeks, we now have the virus released. You know, the virus is now out, and now they're complaining about that and complaining about the cure, you know, the treatment, which is the vaccine, which is the answer to this. So the traffic light system is essentially saying, all right, look, you fucking idiots out there can do what you want. We can't really stop you. We can't control you. You don't have to get the vaccine. We can't force you. But here's the thing. For the safety of everybody, we're all going to get the vaccine and we're going to get on with our lives. And if you don't want to get the vaccine, that's fine. You can remain here in level 3.3. No big deal, right? Like, we're not forcing anything on you. You're saying you can stay here where you want to be with your freedom and all that, and we're going to go into shops and bars, and we're going to go to museums, and we're going to catch planes, and we're going to get on with our lives. Us vaccinated people are going to move on, and you guys don't have to. That's fine. It's win-win. Everybody's winning here. These guys don't even have a better plan. Their plan is not like, oh, okay, well, actually, we're going to refuse to get vaccinated, but we'll get rid of the virus another way. These people are like, well, I refuse to get vaccinated, and I don't even think the virus is real, or I don't think it's dangerous, or, whatever moronic, justifications that they have in their heads.
There's no solution. It's like, we'll just let it spread and run rampant because
and whatever.
That's
fuck
not
it.
a
Fuck
big
people.
deal. That's
fuck
not
money.
a big deal.
Fuck all the economy.
I won't be in hospital when they're overwhelmed. I won't get sick from it.
Me.
I'm not worried about my grandma dying from me giving it to her. That's natural selection.
Yeah.
Absolute.
These fucking animals have probably already killed their grandmas anyway.
So, yes, it is quite. But it is good to see that we're pushing up that line, and also we're going to be one of the quite highest vaccinated in the world, which is really cool as well. Which is also the whole point of having.
That's the New Zealand I know and love.
Is having an extra, 18 months to sort of prepare and look at solutions. Like, look at how can we tackle this problem, tackle this virus? How can we do it in a way that is going to minimize death and sort of, get us back up to speed? At the beginning, there wasn't a vaccination. The vaccination was coming. So there was no, there was no real solution like there is now. And also, I don't know, it was just really interesting to see too that I've seen a few things shared of ads from the 40s and 50s with vaccination relating to polio and that sort of thing. And the types of messaging is actually kind of similar.
What about the R2-D2 and C-3PO one?
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Yeah,
You have to post a link to that.
They were pro-vaccine. R2-D2 and C-3PO were pro-vaccine. I don't remember which vaccine it was, but they were encouraging people to get vaccinated in the 70s or 80s, late 70s or whatever 80s. So I mean that's the thing, right?
That's the thing. It's happened before.
I know that's why it's so stupid.
We've done it before, and
Guy, do you understand why it's so important that we all study history? Now, do you understand why I'm studying World War II so hard? I'm studying World War II so hard to prevent World War III, mate. To prevent World War III. I'm a hero.
I think the big issue is, like I said, is if it's not in your lifetime, it doesn't exist.
Well, only for some people though, because it's not in my lifetime either. But I still get it.
But as in it no longer it becomes irrelevant like an old movie. It's not a unfortunately.
Well, not for me, but it is less pressing, obviously.
Yeah,
you're like whatever. This tempest in a teapot.
It's just a story that someone else tells you about a thing that happened once upon a time.
Well, only if you don't study history, though, because if you study history, then you kind of go, all right, it's a story that somebody told me about something that happened once upon a time, and now I know all the bad things that happened, and I know it happened for real.
But even being told all of that, the enormity and gravity of that cannot be conveyed a lot of people. Like even just for instance, you have a loved one die, right? When that happens, that it hits a lot different to when someone tells you a story about a loved one dying, and so there is just this immediacy of it. But that's the thing is we don't want to have to go through calamities and catastrophes that can be avoided, which is why it's good to just do the fucking sensible thing. Now I will say a couple of things about I don't know, obviously we also had a protest across the Harbour Bridge the other day.
Did we? I didn't even hear about that one.
Okay, so
they were like, we hate bridges. Bridges aren't real. We hate bridges.
Welcome along to the show, Tyler Adams, who's just dropped into the live chat. So essentially what happened is a slow group of traffic drove across the bridge slowly to slow down all the other traffic to bring awareness to their protest of getting vaccinated. Now,
of not getting vaccinated.
Now,
that's a sure way to fuck off an Aucklander.
Exactly. I was like, wow, traffic jams in Auckland. Well, we've never experienced anything like this before.
Gosh, so this is such a shock. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like this actually reminds me of something else. Yesterday at peak traffic hour. But also, like, the other issue is like there's no dumber way to alienate someone from your cause than to inconvenience people that might be on the fence. So it's like, cool. So you're going to drive really slow, so I'm late to work, to wherever I'm meant to be, to do whatever I need to do, so I know that you don't approve of vaccinations. Really? I'm sorry, you've lost me now. I was thinking, yeah, maybe we should look at this, but now I've had to drive behind you along this fucking bridge.
Yeah.
You've lost me.
Yeah.
You lost me at driving slow over the bridge. You really did. And I just think that
I think it's reflective. I think it's reflective of the general IQ level of the whole movement.
Well, someone also did point out, too bad if an ambulance was in a hurry and wanted to get across the bridge while they're doing that.
These people don't care about other people's lives, though.
Which is so ironic because, they're sort of saying that it's infuriating. But yes, so that was their latest. That was their latest protest. I also did see quite an interesting article about how the wellness industry was essentially co-opting COVID to make money, because basically if you take so obviously some of like wellness and yoga and all that sort of thing is fringe already. It's already on the boundary between science and shenanigans.
I'm a little concerned because I go to yoga, and if anybody's going to have COVID, it's that yoga crowd, right?
Yes, it is. It's basically hippies, and in fact, there was another article that were like, there's a school where they all refuse to get vaccinations, and the mayor was like, yes, unfortunately, this is quite an alternative lifestyle town. Basically implying that they're all fucking hippies. But anyway, so I
like hippies. There's lots of things I like about hippies, but
and there's nothing wrong with making a smoothie, but let's not confuse making a smoothie with some extra vitamins in it to refusing to get vaccinated. And also, if you're one of these people that are sort of like being essentially trolled by your wellness fitness instructor who you've so diligently followed and believed, please understand that they're doing this because taking this stance is very lucrative. It has nothing to do with, their own personal beliefs. Most of the time it's that you can generate a huge amount of money and sort of get your message out there if you say, I don't think it's a good idea. There's many alternative remedies to the vaccination, and also it's a perception of control. The idea that if you keep your body in a kind of a pristine state through detoxes and smoothies and exercise and all these things, that disease, illness, and death can't touch you. And unfortunately, they can. Does it reduce your chances? Sure, absolutely. But it does not eliminate them. And we're all going the same way eventually. So the idea that you can also kind of put these natural remedies as a barrier against you getting COVID is fucking stupid. But anyway, if you're on the wellness bandwagon, just remember that it is a financial transaction and it is a strategy that is very beneficial for them, but it's not going to be beneficial for you.
Mm-hmm. Speak on it.
So,
Speak on it.
Stop going to those yoga classes, Harley, because the next minute someone's going to be like, yeah, I don't believe in any of that.
Yeah, no, well, what I'll do is I'll get the vaccine, and then I'll take one of their detox shakes. I'll buy one of their detox hippie shakes, and then that will detox the vaccine right back out of me. And then I'm sweet as. That's what we should start doing. Let's just start offering the vaccine with a free detox shake. That's what we'll do. We go, hey guys, want a free? Have a vaccine so you can get your vaccine passport, and then just have our miracle detox shake. The detox shake will get the vaccine, guaranteed to get the vaccine out of your system within, 1 week, 48 hours.
You should turn your mic down a little bit, Harley.
Oh, okay. I might be yelling too.
You're peaking.
Yeah.
But and I don't know if I am or not. I'm going to try and listen to mine right now. This is me listening to my mic. No, I'm good. It's just you. But anyway, Kamala on the live stream says, hey, could you say happy birthday to my friend, Hugh Jazz? Hugh Jazz? Hugh Jazz, happy birthday, Hugh Jazz. He was also, or she was the one that pointed out about the peaking issue. And Tyler's vid says, guys, thoughts on the recent Panasonic Lumix BGH1. So there's a new camera that's been released. It is a little cube camera, little box cube camera. And my thoughts are, it's cool because it's full frame, but it's not very practical for a lot of the things you want to do because it's a cube, literally the size of my hand here. So when you start adding peripherals to that, and you need a monitor, you need a bunch of things, you need audio setup, this cube is not actually very functional as a proper camera. It needs too many extra things, but it is an interesting step in the right direction because it is full frame. It offers really good value for money, but it's just not a very practical camera. So that's my thoughts on the BGH1. Also, we'd all have to get Panasonic lenses, which, well, it depends. If you've already got those, then it's not such a big deal, but they're not cheap. So anyway.
So can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so I think the old Behringer mixer might be starting to...
give up the ghost.
Give up the ghost a little bit because it's been having a couple of connection issues, and just then it disconnected me. But we'll see how that goes. But anyway, thanks for letting us know if I'm too loud, and please let us know if I'm now too loud or too quiet. Shout out to Kamala.
And his friend, Hugh Jazz.
Yeah. And did y'all get vaccinated? That's from Don Bosco held. Yes, we did. We have both been double vaccinated. We got the Pfizer vax. We're Pfizer vaccinated.
We're Pfized up.
We're Pfized up. Yes, cool. We're all back to good. We're all good now. There we go.
We're all good here now. Thank you. How are you? It's a quote from Star Wars. Don't worry about it.
So, in acting related news, I got a call up because there had been a rumor around that Shortland Street was considering rebranding to Short Bald Street and hiring me. And then I was asked if I was available for some shoot dates, and then I was recently told that, well, no, they have filled the role and they have opted against rebranding as Short Bald Street.
It's fucking annoying.
Well, they do it all the time. It's good to know you're in the conversation, you know?
Sort of, but like, if you're really in the fucking conversation, ask the question to the person that you're going to pick, not the 5 people you're thinking about picking.
Yeah.
Maybe work your way backwards, right? Start with your number one and then go back. Doing. But you said you're available, Harley. They didn't pick you. So
I know. Exactly. So what that means is I'm not their number one. So
that's what I'm saying.
They ask 5 people and they go, if number 1 can't make it, we'll take number 2. If number 2 can't make it, we'll take number 3. You know,
the question is where were you on the list?
Was I number 2 or was I number 5?
Yeah, like who ahead of you said yes, you know, when they sent out the fucking blanket email.
Yeah.
Bastards.
I
Well, it's a little morally irresponsible, I think.
I don't know.
I think you're just getting people's hopes up for no fucking reason. So you go to your pick. You go, are you available? And they go no. And you go, okay, thanks. You go to the next person. Are you available? Okay. So you save time by asking 5 people at once.
Lots of time.
But you're a cunt.
Yes, but here's the thing. They have an extremely high turnaround. Fast turnaround.
There's no time to contact people individually. Do it all at once.
Yeah. No, well, the thing is, though, that they're often like, are you available in 2 days? It's often quite short notice. So they just don't have time to be polite and wait for people's email responses. Least of all, the email response of one Harley Neville.
Yeah.
And then the other audition that I had the other week, I haven't heard about yet. So the update there is no update, but I feel like I probably might have started hearing something by now. And then I'm still theoretically pencil booked in for an ad in January. So there you go. Acting's going great. Plus, I cameoed in your video the other day as one Steve Jobs. I shared that on the Facebook page, facebook.com/GuyandHarley. I thought that was really good. It was a really great, short film intro.
Yes, it captured
quite compelling.
Captured that one went off very well in terms of the response to it. People really enjoyed it because it captured the feeling of the time. But your post about being Steve No Jobs was quite funny, quite a funny take. Quite a funny take. Steve No Jobs.
Well, it's funny you should mention that, but because after posting a picture of me as Steve Jobs and referring to myself as Steve No Jobs, one of my friends from the radio business got in contact with me and said, "Hey, actually, I might have some work for you if you're Steve No Jobs."
Genius.
As a radio technical producer. So, which is work that I do. And so I might have wee bit of that coming up if I'm lucky. And that was all because I've posted about being Steve No Jobs.
It was all because you were shit posting on Facebook. So, there's a moral here. Never stop shit posting on Facebook because you never know what it's going to lead to.
Well, shit posting on Facebook has led me to a lot of opportunities.
Yep.
I found a lot of opportunities through Facebook.
So you can't really deny that it works out.
Yeah. Well, that was a good skit. That one, I liked it. And so people can watch that on the Facebook page, facebook.com/GuyandHarley. It's about which M1 Mac people should buy. And funnily enough, Guy, I need to know from you which I've watched your videos obviously, but I need to know from you which M1 Mac should I be buying if I want to upgrade from what I've currently got, the Mac iMac. I want to go to the M1 MacBook somehow. Which one do I need?
That's a very good question, Harley.
Well, I do some editing. I do video and audio editing. I edit the podcast and other bits and pieces. Auditions and so forth, so I do need it for editing, but I'm not editing big complicated projects. The podcast is long but it's simple.
My suggestion would be the 16-inch base model M1 Pro. Save yourself some money, do everything you need it to do, got the big screen for your porn, so you will not be shortchanged when you're watching porn on your laptop as you want to do, obviously. But and you will be able to do all your editing work. It will be considerably quicker than what you're using currently, even though it has less RAM. And if you were a little bit paranoid about that, you could just pay for the RAM upgrade as well. But
the thing is, I just recently upgraded my RAM. I can't be downgrading my RAM after I upgraded it. It's already done. I'm not going down to less RAM. I've just rammed up. Rammed up to 32.
It's quite interesting though, because essentially this less RAM works as well or better than your more RAM due to the unified memory. So, but that is one area that trips up a lot of people because they're like, well, exactly, I can't go down to less RAM.
Yeah.
I've already got more RAM.
Yeah.
It wasn't working with less RAM.
Yeah.
But because of this new M1 silicon chip architecture, I think you'll be fine. So that would be my suggestion, but I can screen grab the one I think you should get, because you also, are you going to get a separate monitor for that?
Well, I'd have to, wouldn't I? Because I
You
can't
would
be
have to.
downgrading from this big beauty here
Exactly,
down to
exactly.
a fucking laptop. I'd be like, what have I done?
Yeah,
I made
so
a horrible mistake. So I need a
you
big,
want-
beautiful laptop now. A big, beautiful monitor, I mean.
So you want a monitor and you want a laptop. So
Well,
you kind of want to...
Can I just plug my M1 into my iMac and then use that one as a monitor?
That's actually a good question. I believe there may be a way you can do that, but I'm not 100% sure. I definitely looked into that as a potential as well. And to be fair, as a monitor, it would work great. So there may be a way to do that.
Well, that
may be possible. That might save you some money there.
Yeah.
So that's cool. What else has been going on?
If you want to buy an M1 Mac, go find the links on the Savage Filmmaker channel. There's probably a link in the description to buy yourself a Mac, and he gets a commission.
There is, but the problem is that because it's so popular at the moment, those links are kind of going in and out of stock. So you may simply be enraged by clicking through to find that it says not available.
Yeah. Might as well try, though.
But you may as well try to give me a commission. Obviously, if anybody does, which I am not holding up hope
Well, what do you
for-
mean? Literally, Guy, you can create an affiliate link and give it to me for when I buy mine.
No, because I would recommend you. I'm going to save you money, mate.
It doesn't just make the affiliate link for whatever you think I should buy, and then you get the commission.
Yes, but I would suggest that you get an Apple education discount direct from Apple to save some extra money, you see.
I am an educator. I educate people via this podcast every week.
So there you
Philosophy.
go.
Philosophy and film are my specialties.
So that's why I would suggest you don't. We are seeing an uptick in clicks, so fingers crossed. But yeah, so you're going the M1. I thought you were going to wait for the new iMac.
Well, I want to wait for the new iMac, but I'm just really concerned about my back catalogue of porn, because this computer could die at any second. I've had it for like 6 years and I hardly ever back it up, because that's just how I roll. And so, and it's just it could die at any moment.
You're a man who likes to live dangerously. I mean, then my recommendation would be wait for the iMac and just buy a backup drive for like $100.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that would probably make more sense than changing my entire setup. But I sort of figure, like, if I can just get this laptop and keep it closed, here's the question: can you plug in the laptop, plug it into your monitor, and have it closed, or does it have to sit there a little bit ajar? Because if it has to sit there a little bit ajar, then I'm out.
It's 100% closed, mate. No need to.
That's good. So it can just be closed on my counter, tucked away somewhere.
Even propped up in a little side stand.
Yeah.
Don't even notice it.
Yeah. Cool.
Or you can have it as a little mini second monitor.
Yeah, that's probably what I'd do. Yeah.
So yeah, I guess what else we got here? Oh, well, look, I also can't. We can't go past Jab Chat too far before I mention that. Well, I saw a few disturbing things. I saw a writer, sort of colleague of ours, do a big post about how she was part of that march, that march on Parliament that Trump
a writer colleague of ours. I feel like
I think you probably would have seen the post. Well, you might not have.
I can't really remember.
But I was just like, cryptic. Man, I just get can't name and shame people. I mean, it's not like they listen anyway, but sometimes when it's the really, like, what you consider to be quite well educated people that are doing it, like, anytime someone says a teacher's doing it, you're like, really? You're a teacher.
Really? Yeah.
Your job is to educate and teach.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she did a post, but then I got a rather disturbing direct message. Got a rather disturbing direct message. Now, in this direct message was a video.
I know who we're talking about.
Of a nurse with her name tag off, and she had been at the beach. She'd had quite a stressful day, and she was concerned because she wasn't planning on getting the vaccination, and she was meant to go to work, but she decided to go for a swim because she was too stressed out. Because she was too stressed out about having to get the vaccination, because she'd already talked to many doctors, none listed, none mentioned, no specific people talked to.
No citations.
She'd no citations, no links in the description. But she'd talked to a lot of people apparently, and she was not a fan of getting vaccinated. She thought it went against her beliefs. And she wanted to be part of the Wellington March, but she couldn't be. And she just wanted to let everyone know in this video that she was going to be the hero they deserved. Not the hero they needed, because the hero they needed just needed to take a fucking vaccination. The hero they deserved as a dumb shit who was going to, essentially choose not to continue with her job. Which obviously puts her in direct contact with a whole bunch of people. Therefore, the need to be vaccinated much higher than Joe Blogs on the street. And I received this in my inbox, but it was the person that I received it from that was the problem. Because the person we received it from was the person that was also potentially wanting to produce our next film. And who's interested in producing the family and has in fact, put a sort of, put together an idea or a couple of different package options of how we might do that with them. And that came from them. And I was at a real crossroads there. I was at a real crossroads because, part of me wanted to go, what the fuck are you talking about? This is a stupid video. B, why are you please tell me that you're not part of this, which of course they clearly are, they're part of this sentiment. But it's, it's also like, oh, are you serious? This is the person that we, might be working with, this person that's sharing this rhetoric. And so I was on the verge of bringing up a whole bunch of links, and going, look, I think you should really, but I also realized that if you're that type of person, and this is the problem, because who was this from? This is from a rich white producer who is very privileged. Do we see a pattern emerging here? Because that's who a lot of people are chiming up about it. And but it's very also hard to then go, cool. Like, here's all the reasons why this is wrong. It's very unlikely that person is going to go in that rich, white, privileged position are going to go, oh yeah, you know what? You raised some good points there. I'm gonna sit and ruminate on this and maybe reconsider my stance. It's much more likely that they're going to go, well, this is fucking bullshit. You're part of the sheep. You're a sheeple, and you've got hooked and post a meme at me.
Well, I do hate it when they meme at you.
Don't mind a well-reasoned argument. Don't mind a well-reasoned even quote from someone that might silence my disagreement. Just post a meme. Post a fucking meme.
Here's the thing, mate. As a rule, strong feelings about issues do not emerge from deep understanding. That's a quote from Sloman and Fernbach, authors. An article in the New York Times.
But conversely, Harley, we have very strong feelings.
I know
about this issue.
I
very strong.
Yeah, no, I thought the same thing. I was like, well, I've got to look in the mirror if I'm going to say this. Yeah, well.
So in the end, I erred on the side of...
I feel mostly just very frustrated by it, to be honest. That's the underlying thing. It's not even anger at the people, really. It's just frustration. It's such a small ask. Like, go and get this little prick. You've had it several similar ones in your life. I know you don't understand the science, but that's fine. Just trust us. Trust, 9 out of 10 New Zealanders. Trust
also,
the medical experts. Trust, the fact that people are dying from the virus, and it's because it's spreading among unvaccinated people.
Trust the world outside your world. But it's also interesting because it's like, cool, you did get that. You do have to get this vaccination. You don't know what it's in it. Did you know what was in your tetanus vaccination that you got?
Or that cigarette you just fucking smoked?
Like,
we do know what's inside the cigarette. Still did that too.
It's just kind of weird that it's like that's the barrier. But so I chose the higher ground. Well, I didn't really. But I guess the higher ground would have been posting all that stuff at him. But instead, I just ignored it. But it definitely does not bode well because it's one of those things that you're sort of like, man, I just really can't get on board with someone like that. That's a real, a real difference of opinion. Like, not like a little difference of opinion. It's quite a big elephant in a room of, what we consider the right thing to do. But anyway, so, but it was just like, it's like finding out there's someone, you're like, you're all hanging out, you're all bunking up together and you're like, yeah, man, the zombies outside, not liking it out there. It looks pretty dangerous. And then someone in the corner just starts twitching a little bit and they start slobbering a little bit and they start getting a little bit hungry for brains. And you're like, oh shit, there's a fox in the hen house. Because there's an infected right there with you. You thought that they were, they told you that bite was not from another zombie. They told you that when you let them in.
That big bite mark on their arm.
They said that. I was like, oh no, a dog bit me. You go,
we should do a short film proof of concept. I Survived a Zombie Holocaust sequel in the backyard. Yep. I survived a COVID Holocaust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
Weasley
it.
doing something. It's Weasley doing something. And it's a pro-vaccination message, probably.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad.
Yeah, I survived a nice wee follow-up there for the re-release.
Yeah.
In preparation for the re-release when we get the rights back to the film in 2022.
April 2022.
April 2022. That's my birthday too, so I'll be able to celebrate because we will have received back the rights for I Survived a Zombie Holocaust from our disastrous sales deal, and we can maybe try and start selling it directly to people. So we could make a wee short film announcement. I survived a COVID Holocaust.
I like that. I like that. Do you've got the Wesley vest?
I've got the Wesley vest. Yep.
But the Wesley glasses are gone. They're long
gone. The glasses, I happen to know that they are gone. But I mean, for a start, I do think they'd be quite easily replaceable. But two, I happen to know that Anwen, the wife of Bryce, the art director, uses them to read books. Shout out to Anwen. She uses them to read. They're her reading glasses now. So, and she's a big zombie fan, and she actually been posting I Survived a Zombie Holocaust in zombie groups, and they had a Zombie Holocaust viewing night the other night. They've got like a book club, a movie club, and they watched I Survived a Zombie Holocaust the other night. So I meant to tell you guys, the listeners, that people are watching it, they're enjoying it. I Survived a Zombie Holocaust. Go and check it out.
Speaking of
slide into my DMs. That might be the better way. To watch I Survived a Zombie Holocaust.
So a couple of things about I Survived. I'm not sure, did I tell the story of, I don't think I told the story. I've got a couple of messages from Dunediners recently. Mm-hmm. And one of those messages, I don't think I told the story. You can remind me if I did, but
it doesn't sound familiar.
I got a message with regards to myself as a filmmaker. And that message was from the son of one of the makeup artists on I Survived a Zombie Holocaust, who was now 12, maybe 12, 13, who previously was 1 or 2 when the film was made. Yeah. And he's now a real human being. And he is a person with thoughts and feelings. He's not just a little baby, you know, that can't speak. He's an actual real life person. And, you know, time is a flat circle. And it's all very scary because now he emailed me and he said, hey, could you give any advice about filmmaking and talk a little bit about your experience as a filmmaker? I'm doing a thing at DNI, Dunedin North Intermediate, which is the intermediate school that I also went to in Dunedin. And we had a little conversation and I made a couple of videos for him, giving him some advice about filmmaking. But I just thought, in terms of someone that I might receive a message from, this is probably the last person I could ever imagine receiving an email from on a Tuesday, sort of asking me about the process. And then I had a little chat with his mum as well about it, and it was pretty cool. But it was also pretty insane that happened. And then speaking of blasts from the past, I also
tell this kid to cast me in something, okay? When he makes it,
you give him another 7-8 years, and maybe that can be the case.
Or maybe by then I would have bought my house in our hometown, Dunedin, and I'll be down there and I'll be able to be in his films.
Pretty fascinating. I also received another email from a Dunediner, and you might remember this person, this individual, one Mr. Russell from Logan Park High School, English teacher, Mr. Wallace.
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes. Okay.
The
my
famous
English teacher.
Yeah, and mine. Yeah. And I got an email from him out of the blue.
He kicked me out of class. I got kicked out of English class and sent to the principal's office by Mr. Wallace. Now, generally speaking, we were on very good terms, but on this one particular day, he kicked me out. And do you want to know what he kicked me out for? Reading. Reading. He kicked me out of English class for reading my book under the desk.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It goes against I still contest it. I am learning English in the English class, and I'm doing so harmlessly, and I'm showing an interest in things. And of course I'm still listening and picking something
No, you're not.
Sure I am. I'm still in a creative, learning.
You're not listening to shit.
I'm reading my book.
You're reading your little Hardy.
Tomorrow when the war began.
I was going to say, you're reading your little Hardy Boys mystery and the fucking with your book in your lap, paying absolutely zero attention to Mr. Wallace and what he's trying to do. And he's just looking like it's the old classic, isn't it? It's like, until you get a taste of it, you're like, what's the fucking problem, bro? When you're chatting in class with someone else, you're checking your phone, you're doing all this other shit.
This is not checking your phone. This is reading a book in English class.
That's
the one thing you can't be kicked out of English for. That's the one thing. I'm reading a book in fucking English.
Yeah, 100% ignoring it.
I'm talking in English.
And they go, excuse me, can you, I also have a feeling that he didn't kick you out, the first thing wasn't you're kicked out. I think the first thing was stop doing that, and you ignored him. If I had to guess, I don't
remember the specifics.
The turn of events. But anyway, Mr. Wallace, great guy, and he sent me an email, which again I have not heard from this man in approximately 20 years. Slightly more, 21 years. So 20 years later, email out of the blue. Hi, Guy. I was most impressed to read your elegantly phrased, well-reasoned response on Facebook about the selfishness of people choosing not to be vaccinated because they believe in freedom of choice. As you clearly point out, this is likely to have severe effects on many others. May you and those close to you continue to think well, live well, and remain healthy, Mr. Wallace.
Good on him. Good on him.
We're not, and also
shout out to Wally.
Shout out to Mr. Wallace, who 100% does not listen to this podcast, but appreciate that message, and I will definitely reply to it.
Yeah. Well, last time I saw him, I bumped into him while we were both buying cheese in Central Otago. Shout out to Mr. Wallace.
Shout out to Mr. Wallace, a good teacher, a very good teacher. He was also the one that gave us permission, I believe, to film after hours.
Yeah. And he had a cameo.
And he did have a cameo. And I forgot about his cameo.
He had a cameo in our second feature film, Future Echoes. And actually, that's the name of next week's episode, Future Echoes. And it's already scheduled. So make sure you guys put that in your schedule there.
I forgot about his cameo.
Yeah, so he had a cameo in Future Echoes, catching or looking out for people smoking in the bushes. And he let us film in the classroom after hours. So good man. He is partially responsible for all of the success that you can see before you today.
Well, I also had a look, out of curiosity, because Logan Park High School has a Wikipedia, and it has.
Does it mention me?
That's what I'm saying. It has famous alumni that have sort of graduated or that were part of Logan Park in some capacity. And I was very dismayed to see that neither of us featured as people of merit or note. People of note or merit, we were not. They had fucking.
There's no Guy and Harley.
This
is our high school. We're talking about our high school here.
They had. I gotta see if I could find it now. They had a lot of athletes. Who gives a fuck about athletes? That's not even an academic achievement.
Yeah, what's a school? How can a school be so proud of that? They're not a gym.
I was going to say, do you want a medal? Well, you should probably accredit to their gym, not to Logan Park High School. So I was very dismayed to see that. So I'm actually going to read out. Also, they got our fucking mate Andrew in there from the band.
From Die Die Die.
Die Die Die. He's
Andrew. Not Andrew Lee.
Andrew Brow.
No.
Well, that's what it's listed.
Die Die Die. The lead singer of Die Die Die. Our schoolmate. Anyway, he is mentioned and we're not.
So
it's almost as if Die 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 is more successful than Pigville.
Disgusting. Aldous Harding.
Go check out Die Die Die.
Aldous Harding, musician. Andrew Broch, musician. Belinda Colling, netball player. Mark Dickel, basketball player. Mr. fucking Dickel is in here. Jane Dodd.
I was reading my reports from Mr. Dickel the other day.
Jane Dodd, musician. That sounds like a waste of time.
They were not very positive.
Chris Donaldson, athlete. Graham Downs, musician. Matt Heath, entertainer. He's the only entertainer on here.
He's the most famous person you've mentioned so far.
Nadia Reid, musician. Helen Varley Jameson, theatre and digital artist. What the fuck?
Well, hang on a second, man. Why don't we just edit the Wikipedia page?
Well,
somebody out there in the listener land can go and do that for us right now. Go find the Logan Park High School Wikipedia
Listen to this
page
one.
and add Guy Pigden Harley Neville to this list.
Jess O'Brien, musician. New Zealand Idol finalist.
Yeah. Okay,
Come on.
I'm the half-hairy man from the fucking internet. I am the half-hairy man from the internet. My meme has been seen by perhaps hundreds of millions of people.
We were the first
I need to be
New Zealand
on the Wikipedia page.
New Zealand film-funded film to shoot in Dunedin in over a decade.
Yeah.
And we are still...
It was
and
Scarfies,
us.
Then it was I Survived a Zombie Holocaust, and then it was Out of the Blue. And Out of the Blue wasn't... Oh, yeah, and then it was Out of the Blue.
Fucking Out of the Blue. I forgot about them.
You love forgetting about Out of the Blue.
But
I never forget about Out of the Blue because
you can't count Out of the Blue because they were not a Dunedin-based team.
So now we're talking about specific Dunedin-based teams.
Well,
I literally moved back to Dunedin just to shoot that film, and then when we finished, I left again, and so did you.
No, because I was living in Dunedin when I developed and created it, and I was in Dunedin until I shot it. And then the post was in Auckland. But the point is that going to shoot on it as a location is not the same as an actual Dunedin, but with a team. No,
but it's a
from
Dunedin
Dunedin
director. It was the same director. It was Robert Sarkis. You can't be saying that Robert Sarkis.
But you also can't. You can't live in Auckland.
That's a Dunedin film. That's it. You can't.
No, it's not a Dunedin film. Robert Sarkis was not living in Dunedin. Okay, and he went to shoot in Dunedin because it was based in Dunedin. He brought a whole team of Aucklanders from Auckland to Dunedin to film it.
He's a Dunedin filmmaker filming another film. He also made Scarface, the previous one.
But he's not a Dunedin.
Like, all right, Rob. We accept your first film, which you shot in Dunedin, but we don't count your second film as being a Dunedin film
because it was a whole Auckland team.
Because the people were from Auckland that were involved.
Because everyone was from Auckland that did it.
From Auckland, and I survived a zombie holocaust.
We had 3 or 4.
We had heaps. There was a few more, particularly among the cast.
Whole Dunedin team. The whole Dunedin of Dunedin came together to make a film.
They did. A lot of Dunedin did.
Whole of Dunedin did not come together to make Out of the Blue.
That's bullshit. Heaps of Dunedin people worked on Out of the Blue. Probably more Dunedin people worked on Out of the Blue than on I Survived a Zombie Holocaust.
Nah.
I think that's probably almost certainly true.
Well, it's not possible. I can already refute that immediately because we had 1,000 extras running down the street. So by virtue of that one scene,
firstly, that
eliminates that.
That was not 1,000. Firstly, that was not 1,000 people that were in our zombie extra scene when we shut down the main road of South Dunedin. Go watch I Survived a Zombie Holocaust. Slide into my DMs for a link to watch I Survived a Zombie Holocaust. Yes. So plus also there was, I'm sure
he's also not on
some
this list,
extras.
by the way.
I bet there was
Robert
some
Sarkis.
Extras. Yeah,
he's not on here.
Is Robert Sarkis from Logan Park though?
I doubt it. I'm sure
I don't think so.
I feel like he's an Otago Boys type of guy. But anyway, the true first Dunedin film
that's a very
since Scarface.
Offensive thing to
since
say
Scarface.
To Robert.
And we're not in here. So we brought the whole of Dunedin together to make a movie. It wasn't like Wolverine, just we're just going to shoot some stuff. Someone is.
We're going to edit it. One of the listeners is going to go
Well, I can click on edit right now.
For Logan Park High School and go along and edit and add Guy Pigden and Harley Neville onto the Wikipedia page.
You know what would be hilarious? Is if someone edited it on and then someone edited it off.
Yeah. that could happen. But it would be quite funny because say that I'm the half hairy guy. Mention I Survived the Zombie Holocaust and all that obviously as well. But also you got to mention the half hairy man from the internet thing.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's less of a claim to fame, but okay.
Well, no, I mean, I agree, but it's still noteworthy. I'm just saying it's just another thing next to my list of accolades, list of achievements. Now, speaking of achievements, I also wanted to mention that I actually won gold at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, which were held in 2021. I have now won gold. I am an Olympic gold medal winner, you could say. And what I did was I went over to Japan in order to work on the broadcast. I was over there. I was in a fancy futuristic truck on location, on site in Enoshima in Japan, and I was putting the graphics on the sailing, the Olympic sailing. And as part of a team of, I don't know, like 150 people or something like that. I'm not sure exactly, maybe 250 people. A good sized team of people were working to, bring this broadcast Olympic coverage to air. And they have an awards sort of system for the broadcast. And basically, because the way the Olympics works is that different contractors handle different sports. And so, this particular contractor that I'm working for is handling the sailing, but there'll be somebody else that's running the surfing and somebody else that's running the whatever else, the running. But they'll all be made to look uniform with the graphics and the style of broadcast and the formula. And what happens is to keep it competitive, they have a medal system where basically the best will get the best coverage of a sport will get either gold medal or gold silver or bronze. And I can proudly announce that the Olympic coverage of the sailing at the Enoshima Tokyo Olympics has won the gold. Has won the gold medal in the broadcasting awards of the Olympics. So that's 1/250th mine. I own 1/250th of that achievement.
Right.
Yeah.
Who gives out those awards?
I think it's the Olympic Broadcast Service.
Okay.
It's somebody
OBS.
up there. Yeah, they are called OBS, funnily enough. That's who was employed. I was working for OBS. It's funny. But yes. So I think it's OBS.
Does anyone get an actual medal?
Nah, it's not a medal. It's like a trophy. It's a trophy, but they call it gold. Like they say, you've won gold. You've won gold, and they give you a trophy. And so the guy that was kind of my boss's boss or something like that, received this for the coverage of the Olympic sailing. The surfing came second, and the mountain biking, I think, came third. And interestingly, I knew the graphics operator on the surfing, and I believe our friend Sam Thompson was involved with the mountain biking.
Yes, that's right. He was.
And I bumped into him in
Coach.
Singapore.
Coach Thompson.
I bumped into a school friend randomly in Singapore as we were going to the Olympics, and he was going there to work with the mountain biking or biking of some description. Shout out to Sam Thompson. He's probably not listening.
He's not listening, but he's done very well for himself. He would also be considered an alumni of Logan Park as well.
He was sitting on the plane next to me, actually, the row over, and I didn't realize it was him. I had no idea it was him. It wasn't until we got to Singapore, but we were flying together, and he was right there. And this guy was sitting over there, and he was in really good shape. This guy that was just in really good shape. I was like, man, that fucking guy, and not big, bulky, you could see he looked healthy. And I was like, man, that guy's probably one of the athletes. That must be one of the athletes going to perform at the Olympics. And that was our friend Sam. So shout out to Sam.
Yeah, I understand. And he did actually I believe he sort of went into coaching, but he was on the verge of being, certainly he's done a bunch of cycling and Ironman style competitions. So he is an athlete in his own right, additional to his coaching of Olympic athletes. So yeah, he's done quite well for himself, Sam. And I also understand that he actually had a child while he was over there.
His child was born while the Olympics were happening, and he was
over
there. Yeah,
he always has that story to tell his child. He's like, I picked the 2020 Olympics over you. So that's why Daddy wasn't there, because he wanted Olympic glory over he favored that over your birth. So no hard feelings, eh?
Well, sometimes the great men of history have to make difficult decisions like that. I've got a few shout outs here. Jamie Oxley, shout out to Jamie Oxley, cruising the outback. Don't take all this anti-vax stuff seriously. He's vaccinated, but he's just not happy about the mandate side of things, which is fair enough. I get it.
And he's always taken exception to people asking for his vaccination papers. Yeah. But also at the end of the day, Jamie, I think he
got vaccinated, and good on him.
Yeah, good on him. But I also think he's objecting to the wrong thing, because when someone asks you,
I was meant to be pushing him up.
I know, but when someone, but that's the thing is, when someone asks you for those things, it's literally just a safety measure. It's not anything personal, and it's also something that they've been told they have to do. So who gives a shit? I only say that because Jamie, long-time listener, absolutely great dude, but it's almost, to me, I liken this new vaccination paper thing to when you have to show ID to buy a beer. It's all good.
Or a passport to get on a plane.
Yeah, you got
a gun license to buy a gun.
Okay, you want to know I'm safe and I'm all good? Sweet, there you go. You want to know I'm the right age? Sweet, there you go. You want to know that I'm the person I say I am? Here you are. No big deal. It's all good, homie. It's all good.
So shout out to Jamie.
Shout out to Jamie.
Yep, shout out to Dottie Pie. Jeremy Howson, listening from the gym and possibly wearing this very same T-shirt that I'm wearing now, the Deny Gravity But You'll Still Fall Off the Roof T-shirt. Shout out to Jeremy. It's his gym T-shirt now. So he bought my merch and now it's his crappy old gym shirt. But that's good. It's getting use. It's getting use. Yep. That's good. Kef Emsey. Shout out to Kef Emsey. He's always got a kind thing to say on the show, although did point out that my chest hair is getting grey. Thank you for pointing that out, Kef Emsey. Ben Fowler, watching on the big screen. He watches on the big screen at home, and he says he watches every week, but he can't comment because he's watching on the TV, so it's just not really easy to do it with the remote and all that. And I says to him, well, Ben, mate, just start commenting on your phone. That way we'll get double view time too. But you can just, post your comment from your phone, but watch on the big screen.
Yeah, I think that's the right choice, Ben. So I know he'll be working on some Viva La Dirt League stuff at the moment, I'm sure.
He will be. Shout out to Viva La Dirt League.
Shout out to Viva La Dirt League, not listening.
Shout out to Ben Fowler. Yeah, they're definitely listening. Actually, Viva La Dirt League commented on the I Survived the Zombie Holocaust trailer 9 years ago. They were like, "This is great, guys. Keep it up." Something like that. Yeah. So, shout out.
So
to
9 years. 9 years they commented that. Is that?
Yeah, 9 years ago they commented that.
Yeah, okay.
That's how long I've been mates with them, mate. This is my boys. Viva La Dirt League. They'll cast me again. They will. No, they will. I've been meaning to message them and be like, hey, so, I'm still around, still available, still keen.
Steve Jobs' cameo will solidify.
I never got really right in tight with them, but I was in about 5 different things of theirs, and I was in a few other projects and worked with them on other projects outside of Viva La Dirt League as well.
A utility player.
Yeah, that's what
a day player.
Who, me?
A day player.
That's the word I need. Utility player. That's me for sure. My entire career, utility player. Shout out to Tyler, the VFX creator, as well, of course, who's been doing some great work with making the shorts.
They've been good. They have been good. Those shorts have been good.
They have.
Although I noticed that you accidentally didn't post them as shorts in the last post. You forgot the hashtag shorts.
No, but I did add it straight afterwards.
Okay.
So because I pressed publish, and then I was like, oh shit, and then I added the hashtag.
Okay, hopefully they have become shorts now.
I'm sure they will have. I'm sure they will have. But he says the podcast is always entertaining, lots of laughs and good discussions, lots of hilarious self-deprecating humor, some of the funniest stuff. So yes, shout out to Tyler. Thank you so much. Shout out to also Tyler, the website creator, tuning in, Tyler's Vids.
Still hasn't created your website. Questions.
Hasn't quite finished my website yet, but we're getting there. He's going to send it to me any day now. There was also somebody that said online that it was so Guy, here, let me explain my painful awkwardness around your hairy body, Harley, fan service, rips off shirt. So that was referring to last week. And it's got the time code where I take off my shirt last week. So if you didn't see that last episode and you want to see me take off my shirt, please do go back and watch it after this episode, because we need to get our view time up. Now, the view time, when we reach 4,000 hours, we can monetize this channel. And we did recently break a great milestone, 900 hours. 900 hours of view time. So there's only 3,100 hours of view time left. Now, that's in any 12-month period. So in the last 12 months, we've received 900 hours total.
Okay, actually,
and we need
I forgot about this whole... So is it 4,000 hours in a year?
Yes. So you've got to get 4,000 in a year. Which is crazy, right? Surely I should be able to get 4,000 in as much time as I want, because it shows that I've committed to this and I'm still broadcasting 5 years later and I finally reached 4,000. Wouldn't that be more fair rather than saying we've got to grow or we don't get on? We can't monetize unless we grow right now.
I think we'll be all right with some of these viral shorts that Tyler's creating. I think we'll get there. We'll get over the line.
Yeah, well, I certainly hope so. So shout out to Tyler.
We've only got 2 months left.
Before what?
Before the year resets.
No. Well, I think it's any 12-month period, but yes.
Right. Yeah.
A rolling 12-month period.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Well, look, we've probably run out of notes. You've got to go do some teaching.
I do. But one final thing just to quickly discuss before we wrap it up.
Okay.
Because we did say
I got nowhere to be, personally. I got nowhere to be.
We did say we were going to address this. So we had a listener ask this question about our dear friend, Sir Peter Jackson. He wishes to remain anonymous with this question.
Okay.
Has any filmmaker in history had his talent so eroded by technology and money and autonomy? Serious question. And has any filmmaker in history had his talent so utterly ruined by A, being so far away from Hollywood, B, money, C, autonomy? And let's not forget, PJ did not go into bat for Kiwi actors. In fact, he actively colluded to pay them less so he could have more money to blow on the absolute shit show that was The Hobbit. So that's the question that has been laid out to us. I've got some thoughts. What about you?
Oh, well, I'll let you go first. Well, because, obviously, obviously I don't really agree kind of with most of it. I get it. I see what he's saying. I see the angle. I see what I get where he's coming from. But I also think that, I don't know, I mean, The Hobbit was shit, but The Hobbit was meant to be Guillermo del Toro until not that long beforehand when suddenly PJ went from producing to directing. And I think that's quite a big deal, like the image, a lot of the work, pre-production was done with a different director in mind. And then he finds out quite soon afterwards that he has to be, the director of this.
On something
huge...
he adamantly did not want to direct as well.
Yeah.
Because he knew that he could not top himself.
Yeah.
And so that anything that he did would also there's a lot of things going on in The Hobbit that I feel have been sort of glossed over and have not been discussed. But one of the big things, and we did mention this once upon a time on the podcast, I believe, but one of the big things is that they made it a third movie instead of being two movies. And there's been lots of, back and forth about, how did this flimsy story become more than really one movie? Well, of course, the answer is because the studio wanted to make money. But then how did it become three movies? I believe that the real story there is that, and this is, documented in the making of The Hobbit, is that Peter Jackson got to a certain point with The Hobbit and the Battle of the Five Armies. And he was like, I have not prepared at all for this. My creative juice and mojo is gone, and I have nothing for this whole thing. And so we need to stop production while I have a think about this. Now, in any other circumstance, that couldn't happen unless you're someone like Peter Jackson. But I believe that the concession he made to get that shut down so he could have a creative refresh and a rejig was that they were like, okay, yeah, we'll shut it all down for you, brother. We'll do all that. Yeah, it's going to cost hundreds of millions of dollars. That's fine. We'll do that on one condition. There's going to be an extra movie in here. We want 3 movies if we're going to have to shut it down because we have to offset this fucking giant shutdown period that you're suggesting. And so what I believe happened is the concession he made was that, okay, it's not going to be 2 movies. It's going to be 3. I get more time and resources to recharge and figure out this massive section that I have no idea what I'm doing with. And we all get what we want, except for us, the consumer, getting an extra movie we definitely did not need. And, a not great series of movies.
I only watched the first one. I gave up. I gave up when the CGI fellowship of somebody's, I don't know, that wasn't the fellowship, but the CGI fellowship ran along the CGI bridge that was CGI falling down, and they were batting aside CGI orcs, easily and sillily. I was like, I was just like, this is CGI-itis, I was like, I can't handle this or this amount of like CGI. Now I get it, it's a fantasy movie set. Of course, there's got to be a lot of CGI, but I was watching that and I was like, this just doesn't do it for me. It just doesn't get me chubby.
Yeah, I also think that the thing about when like this is exactly the same thing that happened with George Lucas, is that he made 3 movies, classic movies, the best movies of all time. After the first one, it almost broke him. It almost completely destroyed him. It was the most miserable, painful experience ever. And he was like, fuck that. I'm not directing the other ones. I'll just oversee them because I can't put myself through what happened to me on the first one anymore. But now I have a bit more power and all that sort of thing. And that all worked out well. But then he came back to it. And I think part of it was like, fuck, I don't want to do all this practical bullshit again when I can just have a computer do it for me. This is way easier. And I think Peter Jackson was like, fuck, I don't want to have to take a helicopter up to the fucking Ruapehu Mountains to film these cunts. I will just fucking do it in the studio against a green screen because I can still have all my cool camera moves. It's really comfortable. We're not battling the elements. I'm not killing myself to make this trilogy. I already killed myself to make a trilogy. That was the first one. I want to be comfortable while I do this. Now, obviously, that did make for a worse film, no doubt about it. So I 100% agree with that. But I also think the other thing that's going on here is like, and also to kind of defend the whole actor thing, right, is that I do really believe that one of the benefits to filming in New Zealand is that you pay everyone less. Otherwise, don't film in New Zealand because there's so many things that make filming in New Zealand difficult. You have to have some upsides. And so while it sucks that, you know, we go, oh, but we're not getting those Hollywood rates. It's like, yeah, because you're not in Hollywood and you have a lot less than what Hollywood can give you, you know, when you walk down the road to their giant studios or whatever, you know. And so our lack of resources need to be mitigated by something. And that mitigation must probably come in the form of compensation for the work that is provided. So, and I get that that's incredibly frustrating if you're an actor and you're like, yes, I'm on this big movie, and they go, cool, we're only paying you really well instead of paying you magnificently. And you go, fuck, but I was just counting on this pay to kind of last me a year. And I totally get that because that's the actor's life. But it's also like, you have to make New Zealand appealing to other places, or they'll just fuck off, a la the last, the Lord of the Rings TV series, where they're like, it's too difficult to film here, and we don't have all these things. So yes, we've done this because we wanted to do it this way, but you've made it too difficult for us. And one of those kind of things would be in terms of paying people on par. Like, I'm just not sure that we can expect to be paid on par as a Hollywood production, even if we're bringing those studio resources from over there, because there's a huge amount of sea and inconvenience and hotels and everything else that has to be implemented for us to film here, and shipping things over and all that shit. Need to mitigate it somehow, you know, otherwise the production is going to cost twice as much to film over here, and then nothing gets filmed over here. So I do empathize with this idea that kind of he got hung out to dry because everyone's like, oh, you know, you're doing this to our New Zealand actors. You're taking advantage of us. And he's like, motherfucker, I just battled with the studio to bring everything over here because they don't want to film here. And I have to make some concessions or it just ain't fucking happening.
Yeah.
And none of us ever got that. None of us ever go, you know, thanks, Peter, for creating an industry here. We go, fuck you, Peter.
Do.
No, I mean, you do, but you know, some of our actor friends go, fuck you, Peter, for shortchanging us on the deals you made to make that happen.
Yeah.
And I really think that's a wider perspective thing. Just like when you come on a low budget shoot.
That's how Robert Sarkis feels when he hears you say that about him when he takes a production back to Dunedin.
Oh, I didn't accuse him of underpaying anyone.
No,
I just accused him of making it. It's not a Dunedin. Well, no, he brought them all.
It's a Dunedin story with a Dunedin director written by a Dunediner. It's as Dunedin as you can get. It's Dunedin as fuck. It's so Dunedin.
but it's a Dunediner based in like, for example,
it's a
Harley.
Dunediner based in Auckland. So if you and me go back down to Dunedin, and
it's not a Dunedin film anymore because we're bringing the whole fucking team.
If
the majority of the team is from Auckland,
hire some locals and
well, of course we're going to hire some locals, but if the majority of the team.
Because that's
if the majority of the team is from Auckland, it's an Auckland production in Dunedin. We're filming on location in Dunedin.
No. No,
that's exactly what it is.
Not if the writer-director is the only other person who 10 years prior or whatever, 20 years prior had done Scarface.
Who lived there once upon a time.
No, the guy is a Dunedin filmmaker. He worked at the bloody same place as I did. He worked at Trackside as a camera operator.
But
Dunedin is fuck. It's Dunedin.
Yeah, well, yeah, if all the heads of department and all that are Dunediners, I'd take it back.
I mean, nah, check the credits, but
I will check the fucking credits.
There'll be lots of Dunedin people involved.
Of course,
shout out,
but
any Dunedin listeners, let us know if you worked on it. You know, any of the I Survived the Zombie Holocaust crew, any of you lurkers out there. I know there's a whole bunch of lurkers that listen to this show. Any of you guys lurking out there, if any of you guys worked on I Survived the Zombie Holocaust or something, and then also worked on Out of the Blue, just tell us that story. Let us know. Was there Dunedin people working on this Dunedin production by this Dunedin director, written by a Dunediner and telling a Dunedin story?
Or was it an Auckland production written by a guy who used to live in Dunedin some 10-15 years ago and brought a whole team down to Dunedin to shoot in location on Dunedin because it was a story about Dunedin?
Well,
yeah. So anyway,
the listeners will decide for themselves.
Back to Peter Jackson.
Who's right on this one? I could do a YouTube poll. I could do a YouTube poll.
Yeah, absolutely, I don't really do a YouTube poll.
I don't want to do a YouTube poll though, because I do like the idea that both of us can have our opinion and both walk away saying, "Hey, you know what? I think I held my ground on that one. I think I held my own on that one." Whereas if you have a poll and then you go, shit, I was wrong.
But Harley, people go and shoot on location all the time. They have to be based in the place for it to be a production in that place.
If you and I went down to Dunedin, and made another film, I would call it a Dunedin film all the way. I wouldn't call it a Dunedin film unless
you'd be calling it an Auckland film.
You'd be calling.
I would say I shot on location in Dunedin. I don't live there, and all the people that are employed here, the majority are a team from somewhere else.
Ridiculous.
So that's not a Dunedin film.
It's a Dunedin film. If more than
50%
and it's a Dunedin
of the
story,
cast and crew,
but he wrote it because he's from Dunedin.
But then that means that every Hollywood film. That means every Hollywood film that doesn't shoot in Hollywood is not a Hollywood production.
No,
yes, it does. That's exactly what you're fucking saying.
No, I'm not. I'm saying
okay. So a guy. So take M. Night Shyamalan, right? He's from Philadelphia. Okay, he goes back to Philadelphia with his Hollywood team to make a film in Philadelphia. It's a Philadelphia production, or is it a Hollywood production?
If he's telling a Philadelphia story,
just him. But the whole fucking team is from Hollywood.
Are you going to let me talk?
Bruce Willis ain't from Philadelphia. Carl Urban is not from Dunedin.
I'm not. Okay, if you're a writer-director from a place and you live there and you know a local story and you decide to tell a local story.
You don't live there. You don't live there.
No,
you live in Auckland.
No, you
don't live there.
Stop yelling.
When you're making the thing.
Guy, I'm not talking about when you're making it. Give me a second. You got to let me talk now. Okay,
but you just said he lived there.
If you are a person living in Dunedin or in any city, and you
but you didn't live in Dunedin,
and you're living in Dunedin.
So that's not him because he didn't live in Dunedin. When he wrote the story, he did not live in Dunedin. So this negates what you're starting out as.
No, that's ridiculous. What are you talking about?
He started making movies in Dunedin.
You're not letting me talk. You got to let me finish before you can have a standpoint.
But you can't say if someone lives in like you said. You started by saying someone in Dunedin tells a Dunedin story. He wasn't in Dunedin. He was in Auckland.
When he told the story, yes, that's fine. But if you could let me finish my sentence, then you'll understand what I'm saying. Because you're talking about something irrelevant at the moment. So if you are a Dunedin
where the production company is from,
you're not listening. If you are a Dunedin filmmaker and you are making a movie called Scarface in Dunedin because you're a Dunedin filmmaker, and you then you know about this story which has happened before you made Scarface, this local story of this horrible tragedy that happened. It's something that you're aware of. It's something that you have an interest in. So You then are, your career continues. You make Scarfies, you finish Scarfies, you move to Auckland. Now, you've had this idea about this Dunedin story because from your time as a Dunediner, you have this memory of this massacre. And so you've always had this thought that you wanted to make a movie about it. So what you do is you sit down and you write a whole script about it. And then you apply for funding and you do all of those things. And you then form your crew, regardless of where you form
in
them.
Auckland.
And you form your crew. A lot of them will be in Auckland, sure. And then because you want to
bring them all down to Dunedin to shoot on location there.
Because you want more experienced people. And then you go down to Dunedin and shoot this Dunedin story in Dunedin because you thought of it when you were probably living in Dunedin. And that is a Dunedin film. I don't care that a lot of the crew were employed from other parts of the country. That's just practicalities. Like, there's not that many, crew members in Dunedin. Of course, you're going to have to bring in a lot of people, and the heads of departments are the people that you really want to bring in because, they're the experienced people that, shape the production in many ways. And so, of course, you're going to bring in the people that you've been working with in Auckland for a while, and that's fine, but it's a Dunedin film telling a Dunedin story with a Dunedin filmmaker behind it. And so we'll just have to let the listeners, let us know what they think. But I think you're wrong.
I think it's pretty academic. If fundamentally your cast, crew, heads of department, equipment, and everything else is brought from a place to shoot at another location, it cannot be said that it is in this new location made by that location.
It's a Dunedin film, though. T-Bird on the live stream says, Jesus, let the man speak.
I did.
We need to introduce the talking stick, which is true. So, hey, Guy and Harley to Dottie Pie. Dottie Pie is late. You already got a shout out earlier on the show, Dottie Pie, as well. Let us know in the comments. Should we do the YouTube poll? There's a YouTube poll where you can just ask a poll. Should we introduce this? I'm a little loath to pick the scab and kind of like bicker and fight about things too often. The fighting is an integral part of this show, but it's also stressful as fuck sometimes.
So as I was saying before we had that little sidebar, Peter Jackson does, I think that's another thing about he's made all this money and all this stuff. He gets a bad rap, 100%. He is underappreciated for what he has done for the New Zealand film industry, but he's also underappreciated as a director because to make one great film is almost impossible. To make 4 or 5 is an incredible feat for any filmmaker in any lifetime. And he has done that. And then again, it's that sort of George Lucas syndrome. It's like once he's done that and he's like, oh, I don't know if I want to always be making films now. Maybe I want to spend more time with my family. Maybe I want to help facilitate these other businesses that I've grown. But I can't always be making these things, and you just can't ever continue to meet those expectations. Like even Steven Spielberg has made bad films and, has made films that aren't on par with his classic films. So I don't think extra money or autonomy has necessarily, made him any less talented or worse. What I think is that the freedom that he's had has made his edits a bit sloppy. There's no doubt that. Did he need to spend an extra 20 million of his own money to make King Kong 3.5 hours long? No, he did not.
That was about where he lost me. Around King Kong, I was like, this story about this monkey doesn't need to be 3 hours long, mate. 3.5 hours long.
He's an ape.
I was not happy about that. I was like, come on. This is an hour 20 movie.
And that's the thing is, he in his heart of hearts believed, I need to spend this money to bring my vision, but also to bring the best film. And I don't think that he's been right in some of his edits. And I will 100% say that does come from power and autonomy to not have to be like, okay, we've got to trim it down to 2 hours and we just got to get it. But, even King Kong has this, this fight between the King Kong and some T-Rexes, which is like some of the most fantastic, amazingly thought out, brilliant, sort of action sequences that you'll ever see in any film. It's just absolutely stunning, but you don't sit there and talk about that because A, it's a monkey fighting a bunch of T-Rexes, but B, you also had to sit through maybe an extra 45 minutes of things that did not have to be there.
I can't go 3.5 hours without a piss, PJ. So like, especially if I'm drinking a big Coke, so like, what's the story, mate? Why are you trying to make me? And it's like, obviously I have to miss part of it. This is just stress in my life. You either need to shorten your films or add an intermission.
I do agree that
intermission. I'll complain about that too.
He should be more disciplined as a in the edits now, but I also think that we are not entitled to any more classic films because he's already delivered them time and time again, and we should have a deep reverence and respect for that and for what he's created. There was no film industry.
Also, I don't think the film was bad. It was just long.
Yeah, and
I didn't think the film was bad. It's just too long.
He created an industry and infrastructure here in New Zealand that allowed us to have many, many big films come over and shoot, which had he not done that, we might be at a much smaller scale in the terms of the things that we continue to produce. But again, we forget all that. So I don't really agree that all of those, like his talents have been diminished. I do agree that through that extra autonomy, his editing has been compromised. But I also think that he is a excellent filmmaker that we should respect a lot more than we do, rather than, bitch about.
I respect him.
Bitch about.
I'm with you, homie.
Yeah.
Speak on it.
So, you all need to just fucking game recognize game and real recognize real. And so PJ, we take, he's still a huge inspiration to me, and I'm very glad that he's done what he's done. And if he never makes another great film, he's made more than enough for all of us. So suck it. Yeah, well, I think you're right. We are going to have to wrap this show up. Just quickly, you might notice that my camera, if you're watching on the live stream, is a steaming pile of shit. And that is going to be changing very soon because my good camera has been repaired. I sent it back to Canon, and they're going to they'll fix that. Set me back a cool $530. And you said to me, Guy, you're like, well, when it gets up around 550-ish, maybe don't consider not repairing it, because you can probably buy another one. It's a Canon 250D. You can probably just buy another one for around the same price. But I told them to spend $400 on it. Then there was a $70 fee, and then $80 worth of GST. So it came to $530. Yeah. So it came to $530. So I just paid it. But yes, so I will be upgrading my camera next week, hopefully. So that's good. And, you'll be upgrading it just in time for us to be making it back in the studio again.
Yeah. I thought about that. I was like, crap.
That is possible, but it might actually be one more week. There's been some delays.
Yeah, which means that we are still in separate bubbles, as people can tell from the fact that we live 4 meters apart from each other, but we're doing this via Zoom.
Tyler Adams also says that he's also producing projects that have been pretty good too. He did produce District 9, which is one of the best science fiction films of recent memory.
And what about that one about the girl?
Lovely Bones?
Lovely Bones, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, he did direct that. Wasn't my favorite.
I thought he produced that. Did he direct it? Did he?
He directed that as well. Mark Wahlberg.
I liked that.
Try to act. I'm not sure he can pull it off.
He's still just a pop singer in my mind.
Well, that's aging yourself. That's really aging yourself.
Well, on aging myself, I guess we will wrap it up. Facebook.com/Guy and Harley if you'd like to keep up with our shenanigans, and I'll post a bunch of links. There's also some interesting links in the description of this video. If you're watching right now on the live stream, do me a favor, hit thumbs up. Do it. Hit like, hit thumbs up wherever you are. You could maybe even hit share. You know, it doesn't cost you anything, but it means the world to us. And youtube.com/Pigville and the number 2 is our main filmmaking channel. And then we've got all of our productions there as well. If you want to watch I Survived a Zombie Holocaust, let me know. Just slide into my DMs. And also, that's probably about it for this week. That's enough spamming. But thank you very much for watching. I've had a lovely time.
Thank you. We'll see you later.